Hi, this is Sean from Time and Talk. So today's video is going to be about Ivy Style. I've always been a fan of preppy clothing and Ivy style since I was a kid, really. So I thought I'd make a video about it, explaining what it is and kind of going through the key elements of it. At the moment, we're in a Madras Ralph Lauren shirt, which is one of the hallmarks of Ivy Style. So I hope you enjoy. So yeah, Ivy Style. I've always been a massive fan of Ivy Style ever since I was a kid. Really, before I knew what it was, I remember buying a pair of boat shoes in the '90s and really liking them. And I didn't know they were called boat shoes or that they were associated with prep, but I kind of liked that thing. Um, so yeah, Ivy Style also preppy style is associated with Ivy League colleges, universities in the US in the 50s, and basically it was a reaction really against the more traditional and more staid clothing that their fathers essentially used to wear. Um, there's also trad style, which is slightly more modern. I thought it was the opposite. The trad style would be more traditional, but it isn't. Um, and essentially, there's various characteristics of Ivy style. You can see, the white trousers and the kind of Ivy League style jumper, chinos and things like that. And I kind of like the style because it's timeless, even though it is associated with the 1950s. And it's not too much of a uniform, but it gives you a bit of a guide as to what to wear if you like. Because I don't really like subcultural clothing. So in terms of Ivy icons, there's various icons that for the Ivy style fan. So Miles Davis is one. Interestingly, that we didn't see many black people at that time being style icons, but Ivy style does have those elements to it. So Ivy style here with the seersucker blazer, and Miles Davis, very cool man. Good music. Not a huge fan of jazz, but and then people like JFK. It's a very kind of accessible style, even though it is associated with the upper classes. It's accessible because anyone can really pull it off, I think, and anyone can look stylish. And I think it's not too much, it's not too fashion forward, but it does have those kind of elements where kind of anyone can look good, I think, in Ivy style. Another thing that I really like about it is that it's not too smart, so it's perfect for kind of business casual, if you like, because you don't feel too formal or too staid, but it is smart. But you've also got those elements that you can kind of give a little bit of your own personality with it. And it's interesting looking at these icons because they're not people who are generally I would gravitate towards their style, to be perfectly honest with you. Paul Newman and people like that are kind of, I see them as being kind of masculine icons, and I don't see myself in that way, but it is quite interesting. Kind of polo shirt and a relatively relaxed blazer, and kind of white Oxford. The Oxford shirt is a very much a hallmark of Ivy style. And then you've got Steve McQueen. In this picture, he does look very Ivy, but I wouldn't have imagined, to be honest, that he was someone who dressed in that style. But I saw him as a kind of more, again, like a more masculine icon. In terms of Ivy, there's a few brands that are important. So Brooks Brothers is one. Brands like Ralph Lauren. Brands as well like J Press, J Crew. There's a brand in the UK, a shop in the UK called John Simon's. Even I think brands like Drake's, which is quite expensive, but it's still kind of Ivy in its base, I think. Also, you tend to get people wearing the same brands of kind of shoes, for example, Alden loafers, Weejuns, Patagonia, even things like Paraboots, which is a French brand, but I think has very much been adopted by the type of people that like Ivy style clothing. And again, one of the reasons that I really like Ivy and prep clothing is that it's relatively simple. It's kind of uniformy in that you kind of got a basis and you can play around with it, but it's not like a subcultural thing where you know, if you're a skinhead you have to wear this, or if you're a mod you have to wear this, and it's relatively relaxed as well. So in terms of the particular items that you know you would associate with Ivy, you've got your chinos as a basis, as well. Like I said, patterns like Madras or seersucker. I also see kind of colourful shirts, rugby polos. You know, you see there's a book called Take Ivy, which was published in the 60s, and you see people wearing, you know, rugby polos, which are sporty but smart at the same time, with kind of sportswear. Then you've got the OCBD, the Oxford cloth button down. Various brands make these, but I just think it's a really kind of timeless look. Works really well with a tie. You've also got rep ties, which are kind of like a bit like school ties, really. You know, with a repetitive pattern, and they are kind of harking back to kind of club ties that designated your membership of a particular club. You've also got blazers. The classic Ivy blazer really is the blue blazer with brass buttons. Also, you know, casual kind of blazers and patterns like houndstooth and things like that. Then you've got penny loafers, Alden, for example, Cordovan loafers. They can be really expensive, but they're really part of the look. You know, Alden loafers can be about £800. It's crazy, really. Again, you know, your blazers with your patterns, with your Oxford and your tie. You've also got things like boat shoes. I think I put plimsolls, but you know, white trainers essentially. I know Treetorn are a brand that people love who like preppy clothing, but it could be anything really, and that's one of the reasons why I like it, because you've got that adaptability. Then you've got knitwear, cable knits, and things like that. You've got the Harringtons, and it can be kind of a sporty look and kind of casual but smart at the same time, which is another reason why I really like it. So yeah, so Ivy style, like I said, I've always really enjoyed preppy and Ivy clothing. Even before I knew kind of what it was, and these pictures really from Take Ivy kind of encapsulate that. You know, the people look like they've not made too much of an effort. Well, apart from these people, obviously, but they do look cool and kind of smart, and I do think the look is quite timeless. I've always been a fan of brands, and perhaps that's wrong of me, but also it's quality stuff and quality clothing that's hallmarks of Ivy. Anyway, yeah, thanks very much for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe. Hope you enjoy it. Bye bye.